I always believed that I was a good man. I worked hard to provide for my family and prided myself on being a strong, reliable father and husband. Every day, I rushed off to work with the confidence that my income and my accomplishments defined my worth. I thought that as long as I could put food on the table and keep the bills paid, nothing else really mattered. I rarely paused to consider the small moments, the gentle words I should have said, the warm smiles I should have shared, or the quiet times I could have spent with my wife and children. I assumed that my material success was enough to prove that I had lived a good life. One ordinary day, in the midst of an important meeting, I felt a sudden searing pain in my chest. I remember the overwhelming heat and the shock that took over as I clutched my heart. In the blink of an eye, I lost my balance, and before I knew it, I was collapsing. The next thing I knew, I was floating in darkness, separated from the world I had known. I found myself on a narrow, dimly lit road. The path was lined with burning coals that glowed with an eerie, red light. With every step I took, the heat seemed to burn not just my feet, but the very essence of who I thought I was. Confused and terrified, I began to shout, "Why am I here? I am a good person. I have never killed anyone. I have never stolen." My voice trembled in the oppressive silence, and for a moment, I believed that my words might somehow change the fate that seemed to be unfolding before me. Yet, as my echoes faded into the darkness, a deep, resonant voice spoke out. It was not the comforting tone of someone who cared, but a voice that carried sorrow and cold truth. "You have hurt your family with your harsh words, your indifference, and your arrogance," it declared. In that moment, images of my life began to flash before my eyes. I saw my wife standing alone in the kitchen, tears streaming down her face as she waited for me to come home. I saw my children, their eyes filled with confusion and pain, reaching out for the attention I had so often taken for granted. I remembered the many dinners where I was absent, the birthdays I missed, and the quiet evenings when I was too busy to notice their need for a gentle word or a loving touch. Each memory cut deeper than the last, and I realized that in my relentless pursuit of success, I had neglected the most important parts of my life. The burning coals beneath my feet seemed to mirror the burning regret in my heart, each step forcing me to confront the small yet significant moments where my love had been absent. The road felt endless as I continued to walk, each step heavy with remorse. I tried to speak again, to offer some explanation or plea for mercy, but the voice only repeated its bitter truth. "You have been careless with your love. You have taken your family for granted." I felt the weight of every harsh word I had ever uttered, every moment of impatience, and every instance where I had dismissed the simple needs of those I loved. The realization was unbearable. In that dark, eerie place, I finally understood that my goodness had been measured by grand achievements and material success, while the small acts of neglect had left scars on the hearts of those closest to me. As I struggled under the burden of my regret, I began to see the path ahead dissolve into a deep, yawning abyss. It was as if I were on the edge of falling into an eternal pit of sorrow and loneliness. The heat from the coals grew more intense, and I felt as though I might be consumed by the flames of my own indifference. Just when I thought that all hope was lost and that I would fall into that endless void, I felt a gentle pull, as if an unseen hand was guiding me back from the brink. A warmth began to spread around me, and slowly I was drawn away from the edge of the abyss, back toward a light that promised redemption. In a flash of brilliant clarity, I found myself once more in my body, gasping for breath on a hospital bed. The steady beeping of machines and the concerned faces of doctors and nurses brought me back to a world I had almost forgotten. I realized then that I had been given a second chance, a rare opportunity to return to life with a new understanding of what it truly meant to love and to be present. The near-death experience left an indelible mark on my soul. I could no longer ignore the truth that had been revealed to me on that dark road. Sin is not only found in the great dramatic actions of the world, but also in the small, everyday moments where we fail to show compassion, kindness, and love. In the days that followed my recovery, I felt compelled to change. I began by apologizing to my wife for the countless times I had been too harsh, for the moments when I had dismissed her silent pleas for understanding. I started to spend more time with my children, listening intently to their stories and sharing in their joys and sorrows. I learned to appreciate the small moments: a shared meal, a quiet conversation, a simple smile that I had once taken for granted. With each passing day, I worked hard to rebuild the bonds I had so carelessly neglected. I understood that being a good father and husband was not solely about providing financially, but about being emotionally present and nurturing the love that binds a family together. I began to reflect deeply on my life and the choices I had made. I realized that every harsh word, every instance of indifference, had contributed to a distance between my heart and those I loved most. I had assumed that success and provision were enough to prove my goodness, but I now saw that true goodness lies in the everyday acts of care and attention that often go unnoticed. My near-death experience was a wake-up call, a painful but necessary lesson that forced me to confront my own shortcomings. I started attending counseling and family therapy sessions, determined to learn how to communicate better and to be more present in the lives of those around me. Slowly, the wounds that my neglect had caused began to heal, replaced by a growing sense of understanding and mutual forgiveness. I shared my experience with friends and even spoke at community gatherings, not to seek pity or to dwell on my past mistakes, but to remind others that every moment counts. I told them about the dark road I had walked, lined with burning coals, and about the voice that had exposed the hidden scars of my indifference. I wanted everyone to understand that even if you believe you have lived a good life, it is the small, everyday actions that truly define who you are. I urged others to cherish their loved ones and to never let the busyness of life make them forget the simple acts of kindness that nurture our most important relationships. Every day, as I sit with my family during dinner or share a quiet moment before sleep, I remember that dark, eerie journey and the lessons it taught me. I now live my life with a deep gratitude for the second chance I was given. I understand that the love we share with our family is fragile and must be cared for with constant attention and humility. I strive to be the kind of father and husband who listens more, loves more deeply, and values every small moment as a treasure. My heart, once hardened by pride and indifference, is now open and tender, always ready to forgive and to cherish the people who mean the most to me. The memory of that dark path and the searing regret I experienced serves as a constant reminder that goodness is not measured solely by grand achievements or the material comfort we provide. It is measured by the warmth we share, the time we spend together, and the care we show for one another in every little moment. I have learned that redemption is not about erasing the past, but about growing from it, about turning regret into a commitment to live a life filled with genuine love and attention. I am forever changed by that near-death experience, and every day, I choose to live in a way that honors the love and sacrifice of my family. I hope that my story can serve as a warning and an inspiration to others, reminding them that even if you believe you have been good, it is the small, often overlooked acts of neglect that can hurt those you love the most. My journey has taught me that true life begins when we learn to love not just with our actions, but with our hearts every single day.